to their families. 35% believe terrorists responsible for the deaths of Israelis should not be released. We know the issue of Shalit's release has become a significant factor in the Israeli psyche. Some do not believe in the mass release of the Palestinian prisoners, many with blood on their hands. And our guest Arnold Roth has written about this issue. His 15-year-old daughter, Malki Roth, was killed by a suicide bomber back in 2001. And Roth joins us now live from Jerusalem. Thank you, sir, for speaking with us. And a tragic story for you and for your family. Explain to us, if you would, why you were so opposed to this effort to negotiate the release of Shalit.
Well, so far as the things that we've done go, and my wife and I have decided to simply focus as much attention as we can focus on the identity of the young woman who was still young, who engineered this horrifying massacre that took place only a few hundred meters from where I'm sitting at the moment. We wanted people to know that this isn't a two-dimensional issue, the release of terrorists in order to free a hostage who's been held captive by the Hamas, but rather it's a multi-dimensional issue. And one of those dimensions is look at who we're planning to let loose. We're talking of people who are people with the most barbaric actions behind them and an unrelenting desire to do it again and again and again. So we're terribly concerned that people aren't paying enough attention to these other dimensions, the fact that we're now creating the most impossibly dangerous situation for the entire Israeli society and probably beyond Israel's borders.
Now, your effort here, of course, in talking with us is to put a face, if you like, on this specific woman that you say engineered the killing of your daughter. What all do you know about her so that people can perhaps understand who this woman is and her imminent release?
She's a very attractive woman. She's a very young woman. She was in her early 20s at the time, which means that if she's released now, she's still very young and still got an entire life to live. She'll have children. She'll continue to spread her poison at every opportunity. She'll become a hero. My child, who was 15, who was a classical flautist, who was deeply involved in looking after disabled children, including her own very disabled younger sister, my child won't get those opportunities, nor will the approximately 1,100 or 1,200 other Israelis who have been murdered in cold blood by terrorists in the last several years of this awful war brought upon us by the terrorists. The young woman who's going to go free is not the only person involved in the massacre that took place at the Sbarro restaurant in the heart of Jerusalem. She's one of several, and all of them are big names within the world of the Hamas terrorists. And Hamas will score a massive public relations victory simply by springing these people, which is, of course, exactly why they've taken hostages. That's not the only reason why this is a disaster. It's a disaster also because we've got hundreds of people in the group that are apparently going to be released who say, with every fibre of their body, we want to kill more Jews and more Israelis. What sane society would allow people like them back out on the street? I don't see the sense of it at all.
Mr. Roth, the problem, of course, for the Israeli government here is they are under intense pressure to bring a close to this, the capture of Gilad Shalit. So what should they do? What are their alternatives here?
You're making a point that has to be made, and you're, of course, absolutely right. The issues are terrible issues, and the decisions are awful decisions. If I were the father of Gilad Shalit, I know that I'd be out there doing exactly what he's doing, but I'm not. I'm the father of one of the many hundreds of children who were murdered here and who are about to face the sight of the murderers walking out to the adulation, not only of the people around them, but of an entire society. Now, that makes the issue an entirely different issue. I don't say that there's a right and that there's a wrong. I do say that it's a catastrophe to be releasing murderers who, far from seeking forgiveness, far from having paid their price, the price of their actions to society, are ready, willing, able, and inspired to go out and do it again and again and again. Now, that changes all of this. It means that even if you're full of sympathy, as I am, for the family of Gilad Shalit, you don't release murderers back out into the society where you know they're going to do the same thing again. People are going to die. And at that point, you're going to have some even harder questions than the questions that the government and everyone else is facing today.
All right. Arnold Roth, thank you so much for talking with us here on CNN. Appreciate it. And we shall take a short break now. We'll have more on The Brief